Now, here's your host, Dylan Bloyd.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Business Leaders of America podcast. Today, I'm joined by Stuart Gethner, a seasoned real estate investor, educator, and coach who has personally invested over $50 million in income-producing real estate. Over nearly 3 decades in the industry, Stuart has built experience across a wide range of investment strategies while helping investors create long-term wealth through real estate. Along the way, he's also dedicated much of his career to teaching and mentoring others on how to find, structure, and execute successful real estate deals. He's taught through organizations like the Arizona Real Estate Investors Association and the National Real Estate Education Seminars. Today, he's the CEO of Gethner Education Coaching and Consulting and the founder of Networking REI, a community that brings real estate investors together to learn, network, and grow. In this conversation, we'll talk about what it really takes to build lasting wealth in real estate, common misconceptions investors have, creating financial strategies, and lessons Stuart has learned from nearly 30 years in the industry. Stuart, welcome to the show.
Hey, God, been really looking forward to it, Dylan. Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. I've been looking forward to it as well. So, Stuart, you've been investing in real estate for nearly 3 decades, right? So, looking back, what first convinced you that real estate, not pharmacy or other business, was going to be your long-term path?
So, first of all, that's a great question. So, I grew up in Chicago, and my dad was a pharmacist and optometrist. My grandpa Morris was a pharmacist. My uncle Max was a pharmacist. I
Wow.
couldn't make it in Major League Baseball, so I went into pharmacy. But and I became a pharmacist. And as I grew up in Chicago, I used to watch these late night infomercials on television. They had guys like Carlton Sheets and Dave Delgado, and they would say things like, surf in Hawaii all day and count your rent check monies at night. And I was like, that's for me.
Yeah.
So I started, and I could tell you it's really not like that. But that's what kind of piqued my interest. And as time went on, you take a look at the very wealthy people on the Forbes top 40, top 100, and most of the majority made their wealth through investing in real estate.
Right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And people who do it the right way, have been very happy, obviously, right? Like yourself. But then I think there's a lot of noise online about getting rich quickly through real estate, though. So I think there's a lot of people who see that and they're just like, man, I need to just get into real estate. But what's the biggest misconception people have today about that?
Well, first of all, you make a very good point. And when I teach the classes and I work with my clients, what I say is investing in real estate is not get rich quick. So you're
Mm.
spot on with that, Dylan. But here's what it is. It is get rich slow. If you're willing to put the time in and invest and give it the horizon of time, you're going to find that you're going to be able to create not just cash flow, but really reoccurring wealth.
What's the best? Yeah, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and then so that's a misconception. Get rich quick. And I think another misconception is going to be um, relying on things that you can't control. I'll give you an example. When I first started, for my pharmacy career, going into real estate, I was in the manufactured home business.
Yeah,
People back then called them trailers, but I'll
right.
tell you, some of these homes were better built homes than site built homes. And I'd have people come in and say. Um, we're going to wait till interest rates come down. We're going to wait till inflation. So we're going to wait until this happens. And what they don't appreciate is that there's appreciation in property values. If they wait a year or 2 years, even if the interest rates did come down, which we can't control,
Right.
right? They miss the opportunity of being a homeowner, being an investor, and all those deductions and wealth that comes with it. So, being able to control what you can control is can't control inflation, can't control interest rates, but we can control our strategy and when is the right time, what's the right price. That's what we can control, and that's what we should focus on.
Right, right. Absolutely. So, how long ago was it that you were doing manufacturing homes? Because the reason I ask is because I'm sure the people that said, they want to wait until interest rates came down and pricings came down, they're probably kicking themselves now, right?
Right, and I started doing manufactured homes in about 2020, and really enjoyed learning about the manufactured home business. Palm Harbors, Clayton's, Redmonds. There's some very quality homes, and there's a difference between putting them in a park and putting them on land. When you put them on in park, it's not really considered real estate because you don't own the land. But once you ground set those manufactured homes, now we're talking true real estate with all the benefits that come with it.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, so very recent, huh? And you're absolutely right. There's a lot of people who it's like almost a stigma, like I don't want those, because they want a stick built home or whatever the case may be. But you're absolutely right. Some of those are built better than the stick built homes. I actually grew up in one my whole life, right? And it held up very well. But yeah, it seems to be a misconception as well that people want stick built versus manufactured.
Right, and I'm sure you probably know this, in 1977, Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, decided they were gonna start funding to be able to, fund like they would FHA loans and such, and so now they put better requirements on these manufactured homes, whether it's the carpet or the size. I mean, they made sure that there's really a quality home, and
Yes.
like you said, in today's world, those manufactured homes, they're beautiful.
Right. You're right. They really are. So speaking of interest rates, higher pricing houses, is finding deals harder today than it was 20 years ago, or do people just need to look differently?
Right. So when I work with my clients and I teach the class, I tell everybody first of all, there's always good deals.
Yeah.
Always. We're looking for great deals. And one of the challenges we have is the naysayers that say, now's not the right time. There's no deals. We'll wait for interest rates, wait for this, wait for that. And I kind of joke, we're going to put all those folks in the corner while we go out and find deals. So
Yes.
there's always deals. There's someone today that's just found out they need to move back home to help a loved one, and they want to just get rid of their properties. There's someone today that had. I always call it the grandma died deal. Grandma died, and when grandpa passed away, his life insurance policy paid off the home. And the realtor called the kids back east and said, "Hey, if you put some money into this home, I can get you more money for it." And the kids are like, "Just sell the darn thing." So those are always opportunities for us because in any business, I think your folks know this, you make your money when you buy. You can't bet on the come. And so there's always great deals.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think that's exactly it. It's just what side of the deal you're on, right? So if you're the one who's needing to sell or, needing to buy at that time, yeah, that might be not the best opportunity for you. But the person who's on the other side of it, right? There's going to be deals like that. So if you're just in the right place at the right time and you're looking right, you could really hit on some of these big deals.
And as well you should. So we're always looking, we're always evaluating and we have a very famous word in real estate investing when something doesn't work out and we work the numbers and we make the offer and the seller says no. Our famous expression is next.
Yep, exactly. So as far as geographical location, where are you guys investing? Are you across the country or are you just in the West Coast?
Yeah, so I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. So I started in the Phoenix area, and we've kind of diversified over time. I own units in Cincinnati, Ohio, Sydney, Ohio, Troy, Chicago, Illinois, looking to expand into Florida, Santa Fe. So we're always looking, and whenever we venture out of state, I learned a lesson a long time ago. I mentioned I'm in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. I bought a condo conversion in Las Vegas once.
Okay.
And I thought, if you look at a map, Phoenix and Las Vegas are like this close, right? But
Right.
it's a plane ride or a 4 or 5 hour ride. And I hired a property management company. And I swear they must have had a brother-in-law who was an out-of-work plumber because every other month I'm getting a bill for a leaky faucet, $180, a broken toilet, $300. And I couldn't control it. And every time I had a problem, they made money. So in order for me to invest outside my area, I want a business partner. I
Right.
don't want a property manager. If I put in a dollar, she puts in a dollar. If I put in $10, so do they. So they have a vested interest. And then I'll help with the education piece. I'll help screen the tenants. I'll help with the admin. And then they're my boots on the ground. I found that that relationship works a lot better than me just hiring a property management company.
Right. So you look for that beforehand before investing in the property, then make sure that you can have somebody like that, or is it kind of as you're going?
I want to meet and vet the person beforehand, and I think that they should meet and vet me as well.
Ah,
Because if we're going to be buying properties together and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, hopefully getting up to the millions of dollars,
yes.
um, it's like when you go into partnership with someone, it's almost like getting married to them. So
Mhm.
if you've ever been married, it's a commitment. There's trials and tribulations, and so we want to make sure we're a good fit. And and anybody can steer the boat when the lake is crystal clear. It's
Yes.
when we start having those rough waves, when we start having problems, that's when we want to make sure we get along, we see eye to eye, and we go extinguish and put out the fires together.
Yeah. No, you're spot on with that because you're only one person, and you're only as great as your team, right? So you can only be so many different places. If you had multiple different locations are going astray, right? Then how are you going to be able to handle all those issues? And like you said, you hit it spot on with the how far away Phoenix and Vegas are. Me being in the northern Nevada area, when we drive down there, it feels like Vegas almost is like the halfway point, to Phoenix, and so I can definitely understand that part of it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that you do have to be as good as your team. You do have to have good partners, and if you don't have those, then you're just going to have issues on the back end.
Right. And just like we just talked about, you not only make your money when you buy, I got a coupon in the mail. Unfortunately, I lost it, and it said $75 off if you need me to hang a ceiling fan. It was a handyman sending out these postcards. $75 off to hang a ceiling fan, and I'm thinking to myself, $75 off. That's what I pay my guy to hang a ceiling
Yeah.
fan and the artist, right? So how much are they charging to get $75 off?
Yes,
So we only want to control our costs when we buy. We want to control our expenses as well.
you're right. Yeah, exactly, because it all adds up, right? And so when you think you're making this much money, you're doing this well, and then you actually put all the numbers together, you're like, "Man, I'm not doing as well as I thought so."
Yep. That
Yeah.
and you want to know that beforehand. You
Yeah.
don't want to find that as you go along on the way. Not the time to buy.
Exactly. Right, right, yeah, exactly, not before you lose all that money, right? And so but you've also done wholesaling, fix and flips, lease options, seller financing, hard money, and buy and holds. Why have buy and holds become your favorite strategy?
And that's a great question. So started out well wholesaling, then kind of graduated to fix and flip. And what I found was those are great ways to create cash flow. If you want to, just create wealth, you're not really creating wealth through wholesaling and fix and flips
Right,
because you're not holding on to them long enough to have that appreciation and get the rental income. So I've done those, and as I've gotten older, I've realized my goal really is to create more passive income. And I did a fix it. My last fix and flip was in a town called Waddell, Arizona, and I would joke you had to pack a breakfast, lunch, and a dinner to drive out to Waddell to meet the drywall guy that forgot to show up.
yeah,
And I said to myself, this is very labor intensive. And as you watch the shows on like HGTV and at the end they hold up the check for 40, 50, $60,000. Well, that may have taken them 4, 5, 6, 7 months. And
mhm,
then they don't tell you the Home Depot bill or the Lowe's bill or the credit card bill they have to pay off. So if you just do the math and you're trying to create wealth, long-term wealth, then you're going to be able to look at the buy and hold with the interest deduction, the depreciation, as well as the cash flow in one big unit as opposed to just trying to create cash.
right. So, Stuart, how long would you say a good buy and hold would be for, like, the duration? I know every deal is different, of course, it could probably be 5, 10, 5 years, 10 years, but what's, like, a average time frame you think should be for a buy and hold?
Another great question, and you already kind of mentioned it. It kind of depends.
Okay,
But when we work with our investors, we know that we're in for a minimum of 3 years, probably 5 years, a 3 to 5 to 7 year play. And so they're going to have their equity, they're going to have their cash tied up for that period of time. However, there will be distributions, there'll be quarterly dividends, and we're going to buy right and we're going to add value so that when we do either want to sell or refinance, they're going to be able to make profits as well. We bought an eightplex about 8 years ago here in Phoenix, and this different all over the country because we don't see this appreciation in Cincinnati, where I own units, as we do in the Phoenix area. We paid 600,000 for those 8 units, and about 4 or 5 years later, they were valued at about 850, 900,000 each. We did a cash out refi. We didn't sell the properties. We just did a refi, but we did pull 100% of our cash out. We had no more money. We got all our money back and then we still continue to own them today, and we still do distributions quarterly. So if you buy right, add value, and add into the mix some appreciation, you don't have to sell in order to gain more wealth. And this is a question when I give my talks. And I call this a trick question. I know you'll appreciate this though. Um, when I pull that cash out, is that taxable income? And the answer
right.
is no,
Yeah,
because I'm putting this cash in my pocket and it's not taxable income until I sell and realize the gain. So I'm able to leverage the real estate to take that cash out to do more investing with.
right, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's why it's so important for people to meet individuals like yourself and learn from yourself instead of making those issues, going through the trials and tribulations. You guys have done this, you've seen the issues. Of course, there's probably still many out there that you guys haven't seen, but for the most part, you guys have been through it before, right? And so
Well,
I'm sure this
yeah,
is also, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have the gray hair to prove it.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure this is part of like the, secret sauce, but are you guys utilizing AI at all to help find deals? Because I mean, obviously they're all over the place, right? But are you utilizing AI at all?
100%.
Yeah.
So what we're doing with AI now, we did a couple things. We're working with a gentleman out of California, happy to share, and he's able to take an apartment complex, run it through his software to determine a couple of things, not just the anticipated appreciation, but what's going on with the neighborhood. What permits have been pulled in that area that could be some competition? What's new? What's old? What's a troubled property? So we're absolutely using AI. And whether you like it or not, it's kind of here to stay.
Yeah.
So if we can incorporate it and use it for good as far as evaluating and looking down the road, it's certainly worth the time and effort to understand how it works and to use it.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're going to miss out on deals, right? I mean, this is going to, possibly even vet them for you, right? And just do a lot of the back end information that would take you, I mean, probably days, weeks, months to really do that they can do instantaneously almost, right?
100%. We just evaluated. I have a business partner that I work with here in town on some of our properties. His name is Jimmy Thompson, and he just evaluated an 80-unit apartment, and he did it by hand, and he did it through AI. And you're right, from the time frame perspective,
Yes.
AI did it in like, I don't want to say minutes, more like seconds.
Yes.
Took him more maybe an hour or two and some brainstorming to kind and wrecking his brain to kind of figure out. So,
Right.
and the results were so pretty much similar. AI was able to anticipate some things we weren't able to anticipate, and that is things like utility usage and those costs going up and property taxes going up every 3 years here in Arizona. So it certainly adds value.
Yeah, exactly. So are you helping coach that in your coaching with people? Are you showing that part of it as well?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you have to because it makes our lives so much easier as investors. It's just another tool, right? And we're able to not only just teach them, but teach them how to use it. I always explain when we work with our clients, it's like riding a bike. I don't know, Dylan, the last time you rode a bike, but if I brought you out here to Phoenix, Scottsdale, I brought you to the parking lot, put you on a bicycle, 5, 10 minutes, you'd be zipping around. So
Yes.
it's a skill that once you learn the concepts of investing, yeah, things change in investing. The colors of the flooring, the colors of the appliances, what kind of countertops, those things change over time, but the concepts don't change. So
Right.
learning the concepts and being able to implement that with AI, you're going to be so far ahead than you were prior to having AI as a partner.
Right. Yeah. It becomes a tool that you almost feel like you can't live without, right? Because it's like, man, how did we even go through living and working without this?
Yeah, I remember when Google first came out, and
Yeah.
now we use Google as a verb. Hey, I'll Google that. Oh, let's Google that and
Yeah.
see what they say. So, yeah, we've come a long way, and it's a great thing to be in this living in this era.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So, but speaking of teaching people, you've taught nationally, internationally, right? And we touched on this a little bit, but why do so many real estate partnerships fail, do you think?
That's a great question, and I teach a class and with my clients on vetting partners, and here's what I found. My experience teaching for the RIOS Real Estate Investor Association, going to other meetup groups and such. Two people will meet each other at a networking event, and they'll kind of hit it off and say, "I'm interested in wholesaling. Oh, oh, I'm interested in fix and flip. Oh, let's go get a cup of coffee." And they go get a cup of coffee at McDonald's or Denny's or Starbucks, and they laugh at each other's jokes and they have a nice time and they say, you know what? Let's go into partnership together. Let's do a joint venture together. Now, you wouldn't get married to someone by doing that, just meeting at a Starbucks or McDonald's or Denny's, but people do that. They don't really vet out the partnership. They don't really put together a business plan. They don't talk about the exit strategy or some of the challenges that they've had in the past that they bring to the table. So my experience has been, to your question, why don't they partnerships last? Because they don't have a sound foundation. They didn't do the vetting to begin with to see some of the challenges that everybody's got to bring to the table something, and everybody has some challenges with something. And we don't want to talk about that on our first or second date. And that's when we make the decision to go into those partnerships. And those are those what I call crucial conversations that we need to have to make sure that our partnership has longevity.
Right. Did you go through a few bad relationships with that for you to finally be like, okay, this is what we're going to do going forward to vet them? Or was it like a one time thing where it was like, okay, that's never going to happen to me again?
Great question. Well, I told you the story about Las Vegas. That was a horrible story for me. And since then, I've been fortunate because my mentors have taught me that exactly what I just talked about, how to vet out and the class I teach is on partnership, joint ventures, and strategic alliances, how to create those so that they're long lasting. When I was teaching for the local RIA, the gentleman that owned it and we would take a look at everybody's business plan for free. You put a business plan together. Our job was to poke holes in your business plan. I got to tell you, of the hundreds, maybe thousands that I've looked at, not one business plan ever said, I'm going to go through divorce, become severely depressed, and just lose everything. Not one business plan said, my business partner is going to drain the business account in the middle of the night, move out where I can't find him, and I'm going to have to go bankrupt. Not one plan ever. All the plans have a happy ending. However, those things happen. So being able to take a look at what the exit strategy is, putting a plan in place to try to prevent those things. What if those things, we talk about those now, not when they happen.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Nobody wants to get to that point, but of course there's always that opportunity. And how do you, find those issues early on so you can try to avoid those, devastating results, right? So you you served as a court-appointed receiver for an apartment complex after fraud and embezzlement by, the managing partners. What did that experience teach you about due diligence and protecting investors?
What a great question. You've done your due diligence on
Yeah.
me. So, I was a quarter point receiver for 74 units in Tucson, Arizona. It was called 74 on Stone. And the people who had raised the capital were doing what we talked about, unscrupulous things. They took the capital and they bought themselves a car. They took the capital and they went on vacation instead of putting the money into the property. And the investors got frustrated that there were no distributions and no improvements to the property. So they sued. I was a witness, and the court appointed me to take over the property and to manage it so that the investors could get their dollars. Unfortunately, the best thing we could do with that property at that time was put it in bankruptcy so that the debtors would stop harassing us and being able to strategically position ourselves to be able to raise the rents, take whatever remaining capital that we had, improve the property, and we turned it around.
Wow. Yeah. Are you still working with them? Is that still, or did you guys?
No, that was about 4 or 5 years ago, and
Okay.
then once we were able to turn around, we gave it back to the court, and it was able to be sold. The investors were made whole again.
Wow. No, that's great. So are you still doing that part time as well? Are you still part of other companies that are looking to help, if you're a witness in different areas, or is that more along the lines of just like a one time thing that happened?
I'm on the court's agenda, as far as being called for an expert witness, but I'll tell you where I do volunteer.
Yeah.
I still maintain my pharmacist license, and I volunteer for our county here called Maricopa County. If they're short a pharmacist or need a vaccinator, I'm happy to volunteer.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. Wearing still multiple hats. Yeah.
I guess that's the ADD in me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think when you have an upbringing like that, and then everyone in your family has done it, it's always still going to be something that you still stick a little bit close to, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I enjoy keeping my feet wet and
Yeah.
my head in the game and learning all the different advancements in medicine. I find that fascinating.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. But speaking of AI, right? I mean, in medicine, it's just unbelievable the changes that are happening so rapidly and for the good, right?
And I'd like to think for the good. Right.
Yes, yes, exactly. So, Stuart, the Business Leaders of America podcast is all about learning from people who have built something meaningful like yourself. So, if someone listening today wants to create lasting wealth, not just make money, this year, what principles would you tell them to build their life around?
Great question. So, what principles I would don't look for get rich quick. And Jim Rohn would say, spend more time investing in yourself than you do on your job. And I think that's important as well. And I had a friend of mine last week was saying to me, and we go back quite a few years. He's one of my original handymen. And he said, I remember you way back when you'd work all day and you'd work at night. You'd have dinner and you go do some work at night. And I appreciated that he remembered that because, just that's just normal behavior for me. But at the end of the day, I subscribe to that theory. If we take more time educating ourselves, whether it's about AI, real estate investing, whatever it is you want to become more proficient at. Everybody works a 9 to 5 job. And they would say you get paid minimum wage to work at McDonald's, and McDonald's will pay you 25 cents an hour more if you whistle while you work.
Yes.
So trying to do things that are improving yourself so you can bring more knowledge to the marketplace, because we get paid on the value we bring to the marketplace. And so the more value we can bring, whether it's education, whether it's self-education, I'm a big believer in mentors and coaches. And yes, I am one. So obviously I say that, but um, I mentioned to you first that I'm a big baseball fan. And
Yes.
I remember when I was a lot younger, there was this baseball player called Alex Rodriguez, and he played shortstop for Seattle, and he was an all-star. And then he signed with the Yankees, and the Yankees had a shortstop, and his name was Derek Jeter. So they had to move Alex Arod to third base, and he was having an all-star year. And I was watching the interview when she said to him, "You're having an all-star year, a new position, a new team. What do you attribute it to?" And he said, "I attribute it to my coaches." And she said, "Well, that makes sense. The Yankees have some excellent coaches." And he said, "No, I have my own coaches in addition to the Yankees. I have a hitting coach and I have a fielding coach." And I said to myself, if Alex Rodriguez has coaches, who am I to think that I don't need them? And
Yes.
so I went out looking for mentors and coaches, and I'll tell you, they're well worth it. They take years off could I do it on my own? Sure you can. But I have someone coaching me, keeping me out of harm's way, who's done it before. They say you never get hit by the bus you see coming. That mentor or coach or consultant has seen those buses coming and
Yes.
keeps you. So you're going to make plenty of mistakes on your own. You might as well have someone help you to keep you out of harm's way. So I'm a big believer, and I still have coaches and consultants today.
Yeah, that's such a great message because you're absolutely right. There's so many times where you're coaching somebody, you're leading somebody at the job, and they're telling you, "I don't need that. I already understand it." And it's like if there's people that are at the highest level that are still trying to self educate and to sports, I love the sports analogy is that they're still working hard every single day to be the best. Then I promise you could use something that's going to help benefit you in whatever you are doing.
100%. So I'm a believer. It took Alex Rodriguez to make me a believer, but
Right.
I'm still a believer.
Yes. I try and get that message to my oldest daughter. She's 10. She's like, I'm already she's playing obsessed with volleyball right now. She's like, I'm already a good setter. I'm like, you're 10 years old. I was like,
Right.
you are good for your age, but at the same time, you want to be great, you have to work every single day. And, so trying to obviously it's different trying to tell a 10-year-old, of course, but it's trying to show them those people that they can follow, those mentors, those people that they can look up to and they see that they're also working hard. They're like, okay, they'll take that a lot their message a lot from them more than they're probably gonna take from their dad, right?
Well, yeah, we're too close, right?
Yes,
We're
exactly.
yeah, right. We're too close.
Yep. Right, right. Or even people come into the workplace like, "Oh, man, I watched this video and this person said this," and it's like, "Man, I told you that 3 times, but you know what? That's fine. If you're gonna do it, let's do it." Yeah, so
Spot on.
yeah, amazing, Stuart. Well, I really appreciate you joining today. I did want to ask for someone anyone who's listening, want to learn more about real estate investing, join your community, and or even work with you. Where should they go, and what's the best way for them to connect?
Well, we're not a very big company, so I bet if you called, I'd probably answer the phone, to be honest with you.
Amazing.
So I know the show notes we have my phone number, and my email address is pretty simple. It's my name, Stuart at stuartgethner.com. Feel free to reach out. Happy to have a conversation. I remember when I first got out of pharmacy, and this is going back a few years, and the newspaper back then, before the internet was this big thing, used to have in the classified section for sale by owners, FISBOs. And I remember I had sold my pharmacies the first time. They asked me to come in and stay on for a few months. They never really did need me. But I went to work on that Monday with this list of questions. I was going to call these FISBOs. I made this list of questions that I thought, and I was just starting in investing, that I thought was interesting and was engaging. And the first thing I learned was you start calling FISBOs on Monday morning, they're at work. Not many
Yes.
people are answering the phone. So I got this one lady on the phone and I went through these questions that I thought would take minutes and have conversations, like 10, 15 seconds. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And then there was that awkward silence. And I said to her, I'm a real estate investor and I'm looking for investment property. And she said to me, well, this is investment property for me and I'm looking to sell it. And I tried one of my old pharmacy tricks. I said, "Hey, how about if I buy you lunch and maybe I can learn a few things from you?" And she said something that I'm even repeating today. She said, why would I want to go to lunch with you and teach you what I know? I'll just have another competitor in the marketplace.
Mm,
And I thought to myself, you're going to try to corner the market on real estate investing? I mean, isn't there enough for everybody? And to be honest with you, there's enough for everybody. So if
yes.
people reach out, I'm happy to have a conversation.
I love that. I think that that's a lot of people are scared to do that because they're worried about what the answer is going to be. Worst case scenario, it's a no. But a lot of the times, people who are leaders in their industries, like yourself, are more than willing to help and give their advice. And so I advise all the listeners to please make sure you guys are reaching out. And you guys have questions, please make sure you guys reach out to Stuart. And again, like you said, I'll have those in the show notes available and make it easier on them as well. So, Stuart, again, I really do appreciate you joining today and spending time with me and the listeners.
I was really looking forward to it. Thank you for having me, Dylan. I appreciate you.